Hi there, let's take a look at my multi-step form experience. The reason why I'm calling it that is because although it's got multiple steps, it's just using the built-in Framer tools. There's nothing extra added to it. So it doesn't have any logic control to it. It just creates the feeling of being in a multi-step form. So you could take a big, more complex form, break it down into steps to make it more straightforward for somebody to fill out. That was the whole idea. I built this when Framer Forms first came out, the native Framer Forms. I know there's other tools out there that are very good and have got logic. Insert Frame has got a really good tool. It's got logic built in. But if you wanted to build something quite simple in Framer, just using their tools, this is what I built. So if we take a look at it, as you fill out the form, you click on Next, and we get this nice progress bar. It's nice to make everything matching color wise, and we move through each step, and then when we get to the final step, we get the whole form, and that would be all filled in. So how does that actually work? Well, as always, it's a good idea to get the remix link and to take a look at it yourself, but let me, in my rambling way, show you how I built it, and hopefully it'll make sense. Okay, so on the page, we're going to go into the component, and we have, first of all, we have two primary, two main variants in this form component. We've got the form itself, and then when it's submitted. Okay, so this is going to go from the form to the submitted state when it's submitted. So using built-in Framer actions. If we click into the form itself, we'll see, I'm going to switch to dark mode so that we can see a bit easier. We can see that the form is made up of these different sections. So we've got the U, the event, the preferences, the submit, and the redirect. Okay, so redirect is here. Okay, the timeline, the slider here, if we take a look at that, that's a component in itself, and it's got the various steps in it. So, and then because they're built into the form, when we click next, we get that nice animation. So that's the way that works. But how's the form built? Well, the form is actually the same form all the way through. All I've actually done is I've taken each section, and I've, using the Z index, we just layer them one on top of the other. So if I took all of these parts here, and instead of them being mixed, we did them all to relative. So all of these, we'll make them all relative. Yep, okay. And we're going to make sure that, so make that relative as well. And we're going to make sure that they're all got their opacity switched on. You can see that actually all the parts of the form are inside of the form parent itself, because this is a form. And all I'm doing is setting each section to absolute, so that we've got the first part, that U part, is set to relative. So that's setting the size of the actual component. And then all of the other elements, they are there inside the form. They're just got a Z index to set them behind the whatever's on top, and they've got an opacity set to 0, and then they've got their click events, have the pointer events have been switched off, so that we can only, when we're hovering over them, even if they were the opacity set to 0, because they're there, the cursor would change to an input cursor, and it wouldn't work. So because we've got the ability to switch pointer events off, where the cursor doesn't pick up on whatever the element is and change its cursor. That's what we're using. So for the first one, we've got that set to opacity of 1, we've set it to relative, and we've got the pointer events on. The next part is the event. So what we do then with the event is we set the Z index of that to 1, and we've set the U part of it to a Z index of 0. So that's now sitting behind it. And then we've switched the pointer events to none for the previous one and brought this one to the front and changed its opacity. So we're actually just moving parts of the form on top of each other, switching the pointer events off on this one and just sitting them on top of each other. Then when we get to the final part of the form, we're just switching relative back on, switching the opacity on, switching the pointer events. So the form then is showing all of the things you've already filled in before you submit. So that's all that this is doing. But because we've done that, it means that we get this nice kind of multi-step form process. So all you have to do really is get the form elements that are all part of one of the sections, put them into a stack, however you want to set them up. And then, as I said, you're just layering one on top of each other at each step of the progress. And then finally on this one, we've just got the submission state. So here we're selecting the first variant, then you can see the other ones there, and the submitted, we're just using the redirect variant of that component. Yes. Confused? I hope not. I hope that explains how I've done that. But when you're building these things, if you just think about, if it looks like it works and it feels like it works, then I always think it works. It would be great to have some logic in there as well, so you couldn't move on to the next section until you'd filled the previous one, and maybe that will eventually be there. But in the meantime, there's other people that have built very good tools that will do that for you. But that's how this is constructed and how it works. Hope that makes sense, and thanks for watching.